Before we get into today's edition of Just the Truth, let me tell you about the latest special from Mike Lindell at MyPillow. The standard MyPillow, normally $49.98 for a limited time only, just $14.88 with promo code Joey. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio listener specials, and see all the specials. There's a limited quantity of just 10 at this special price. That's $14.88 with promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. In his first address to a joint session of Congress in his second term, President Donald Trump vowed that this will be the greatest era for our country yet. We have the highlights for you. Things got a little testy when Speaker Johnson had one Democrat who kept interrupting the president removed from the House chamber. And on the international front, Trump unveiled in his speech that Ukraine is prepared to sign off on a rare earth minerals deal and continue peace negotiations to end their war with Russia, and that his administration has caught the terrorists behind an attack in Afghanistan that resulted in the death of 13 U.S. troops. It was an eventful night where the president broke the record for the longest speech to a joint session of Congress, lasting 1 hour, 40 minutes. President Trump broke Bill Clinton's record during his 2000 State of the Union address. We have those details for you as well.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
Speaker of the House Mike Johnson, who spoke with Sean Hannity following the speech, probably summed it up best, saying that this was a speech to the American people.
I loved it, Sean. It was not a speech for the mainstream media. It was a speech for the American people. And I'm sure it was received as well at home as it was there by the Republicans and the audience up in the gallery. It was really shameful what the Democrats did. I mean, they really, it was quite a spectacle. They brought shame on themselves and their party. But the American people are following what the president is delivering, and they are appreciating it, and we certainly did tonight in the chamber.
And the speaker was right, wasn't he? I mean, that was a speech not to the mainstream media, not to the Democrats, but to the Americans who support Donald Trump and what he has done in this short period of time that he's been back in the Oval Office. President Trump vowed in the speech that the U.S. and his administration is going to work to take America's destiny into our own hands. And he promised that this will be our greatest era where he would fight to forge the most free civilization on earth. Trump's remarks came as he delivered this joint session of Congress, a speech similar to the annual State of the Union, but not technically the State of the Union. He declared that America is back and that the American dream is surging.
Free speech in America, it's back. And 2 days ago, I signed an order making English the official language of the United States of America. I renamed the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. And likewise, I renamed, for a great president, William McKinley, Mount McKinley again.
Just a couple of the revelations made to us last night. The speech was just packed full of moments like that. He unveiled in his speech that Ukraine is prepared to sign off on this rare earth minerals deal, a deal that they seemingly they were willing to walk away from on Friday, when their president pretty much tried to shout down, to stare down the president and vice president of the United States. Trump says that he received a letter from Zelensky just prior to the speech. He also promised that he would drive down inflation costs, that he would wage a war on the drug cartels, as he bragged about his administration's accomplishments already in the past 6 weeks. And look, he has lots to brag about, including driving down illegal immigration at our border crossings. At one point, he talked about how Joe Biden had made excuses, that Joe Biden said that it would take an act of Congress to secure our southern border, Trump kind of smiled and he said when in fact all it took was a new president. And he got a loud round of applause. Specifically, President Trump urged lawmakers last night to beef up the funding for border security, to foot the bill for deportations, and to construct or finish constructing the wall along the U.S. southern border. He promoted that his administration has launched the most sweeping border and immigration crackdown in American history, and he's right. Trump said that the cartels are waging a war on our country, and it's time for America to wage a war on the cartels, which that is exactly what we're doing. Trump said that he sent Congress a detailed funding request laying out how he wants to eliminate threats and carry out the largest deportation operation in American history, saying, Americans expect Congress to send me this funding without delay so I can sign it into law, urging Speaker Mike Johnson, who was, of course, standing behind him, and Senate Majority Leader John Thune, who was sitting directly in front of him, to pass this measure so that he could sign it into law quickly. Trump also said last night his administration inherited an economic catastrophe, which we have, accusing the Biden administration of allowing the egg prices to get out of control, which they have. He said among the very highest priorities is to rescue our economy and get dramatic and immediate relief to working families. He said, as president, I'm fighting every day to reverse this damage and to make America affordable again. He repeated his desire to not tax tips, to not tax Social Security, and he talked about how he's going to work hard through tariffs and other means to get inflation under control, but to reduce the taxation burden on the average American. Of course, tariffs have been the topic of discussion these past few days. President Trump has defended his new tariffs. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced yesterday that Canada would slap tariffs on more than $100 billion of American goods, and Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum said Mexico will unveil its own retaliatory tariffs on Sunday. We'll wait and see. Americans remain somewhat split along party lines regarding the outlook of the economy next year. 73% of Republicans said they expect the economy to improve a year from now. 64% of Democrats said they predict the economy will worsen. This according to a Pew Research Center survey that was just released. Trump also said that he would continue to work to end the war in Ukraine following Russia's invasion in 2022. He talked about the visit last week with Zelensky. He talked about negotiations that will continue over the mental agreements and other things that they had talked about. And Trump said that he received this letter, again, from Zelensky, stating that Ukraine is ready to negotiate and resume the peace talks. Trump said it's time to end this senseless war, noting that it's important to talk to both sides to end the wars. Special guests who attended last night's address included Trump's border czar, Tom Homan. You could see him sitting there very proudly when Trump would talk about something at our borders. Also, the former acting Immigration and Customs Enforcement Director, Noah Argamani, who suffered captivity from the Palestinian militant group Hamas after the attack on October the 7th. You had hockey legends Buzz Snyder, Rob McClanahan, who were inducted into U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame in 2003 and were part of the U.S. hockey team that defeated the Soviet Union in the 1980 Olympics. While all lawmakers are typically invited to the president's annual address, Democrats, including Senators Chris Murphy of Connecticut, Brian Schatz of Hawaii, Pat Murray of Washington, along with Representatives Don Beyer of Virginia and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in New York, chose to opt out of attending the speech. Look, they all should have just stayed home if they were going to act the way they acted. It was disgraceful to see how, at times, things that they should have been standing and applauding, they sat on their thumbs. Shame on them. But I guess we shouldn't expect more from them, huh? I mean, I sat there and I watched. There were times like when Trump was recognizing this a young man, and I'll talk about him a little later today, a young man who had survived cancer, survived his fight with cancer. Everybody should have been standing to their feet applauding that young man. Democrats, they sit there like bumps on a log, just like they were angry at the world. Well, it's time to get over that. I get it when he's talking about maybe some policy issues. But when you're celebrating law enforcement officers, for example, when you're selling firefighters, for example, and they're sitting there not applauding the president, again, shame on them. They should not have even been allowed in the chamber if they were going to act like that. Hi, Joey Hudson here. This spring there's a renewed energy and focus on efficiencies, and shaking up unhealthy habits don't serve us well. There's so much chatter about making America great again, but it starts in your home with you being the best, healthiest version of yourself. And PhD Weight Loss is doing their part, because for the first time ever, the first 11 callers get 2 free weeks added to your weight loss program. That is huge. PhD's out to prove that you don't need Big Pharma to reach your goals. It just creates dependency, not long-term change. Dr. Ashley Lucas researched weight loss trends for years and discovered a scientifically proven way to retrain your body to burn fat efficiently without hunger, extreme exercise, or dangerous medications. PhD clients watch their belly fat disappear, their energy skyrocket, cholesterol and blood pressure normalize without starving themselves. I lost over 30 pounds and I've never felt better. So call now and mention promo code Joey for my 2 weeks for free with my program. Call 864-644-1900. That's 864-644-1900, or go to myphdweightloss.com. So did you watch the speech last night, or did you just wait for today, knowing that I was going to watch it so you didn't have to? I told you yesterday that I would watch it like I always do, but I also suggested that maybe last night's speech was one that you actually wanted to watch yourself. I hope you did, because it was a great speech. It was fun to see Donald Trump, first of all, addressing another joint session of the U.S. Congress. It was fun, though, to hear his optimism for where our country is headed. It was fun to learn of a lot of the stories of some of the people who were in the gallery last night. I'm going to share some of those with you in just a few minutes. It was just a good night. And even though the Democrats tried to steal it, Trump didn't let them. Speaker Mike Johnson didn't let them. The members of the GOP House and Senate didn't let them. At times, they just shouted them down as well. They'd start chanting USA, USA, or Trump, or something. Now, things did get a little testy. The height of the Democrats' disrespect came when Speaker Johnson had to momentarily take the room back from the president to gavel them to order. Shortly into Trump's speech, Democrat Representative Al Green stood up and began shouting at the president and waving that cane. You know that cane he has that he walks with? He's literally waving the cane at the president. Now, I was waiting for Secret Service to take the cane away from him. Being a member of Congress, I guess he can get away with that. Speaker Johnson gave him a warning, kind of looked at him. You could even tell members of his own party were sitting down behind him thinking, hey, guy, sit down and shut up. You're making a fool out of all of us. He didn't care. So at one point, finally, Speaker Johnson stopped warning him and asked the Sergeant-at-Arms to remove him from the chamber. Here's the exchange.
Members are directed to uphold and maintain decorum in the House and to cease any further disruptions. That's your warning. Members are engaging in willful and continuing breach of decorum, and the chair is prepared to direct the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order to the joint session. Mr. Green, take your seat. Take your seat, sir. Take your seat. Finding that members continue to engage in willful and concerted disruption of proper decorum, the chair now directs the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order. Remove this gentleman from the chamber. Members are directed to uphold and maintain decorum in the House. Mr. President, you continue.
Thank you.
Now, these are adults. These are adults who are supposed to be the leaders of our country, and they're acting like this. Multiple Democrats caused a number of disruptions before and during President Trump's speech, despite calls from many of their own party to ask them not to do so. As you heard, Speaker Johnson ordered the Sergeant-at-Arms to remove Mr. Green from the chamber, and he was. Green, of course, one of Trump's most vocal critics. He's already filed impeachment articles against Trump over what he called the ethnic cleansing in Gaza. Earlier in the day, we're told that some Democrats warned that antics during the speech should be avoided, including former Kamala Harris. Her senior advisor, Ian Sams, wrote, "Democrats, please," in all caps, "do not do dumb," I can't say the word, "like this during Trump's speech." Former Harris 2024 senior advisor Ian Sams posted this on X, warning his party, "Don't make idiots out of yourselves." Green did. Green told reporters after being removed that he objected to Trump saying that he had a mandate. Now think about that for a minute. He objects to Donald Trump saying he had a mandate. What does he call it? He won the Electoral College by a landslide. He won the popular vote. What does Mr. Green think that is if it was not a mandate? He was quoted as saying, "I was making it clear to the president that he has no mandate to cut Medicaid." He's not trying to cut Medicaid. Mr. Green, you're starting to read your own party's talking points. Green went on to say, "I have people who are very fearful. These are poor people, and they have only Medicaid in their lives when it comes to their health care. And I want him to know that his budget calls for deep cuts in Medicaid. He needs to save Medicaid, protect it." People are going to get the health care that they deserve and that they need. This is just another example of how the Democrats just blow things out of proportion to try to win the people over. Representative Melanie Stansbury is a Democrat from New Mexico, silently protested Trump as he walked to the podium ahead of his address. You know how the president walks down the aisle after the Sergeant-at-Arms lets the speaker know that the president's there? Stansbury is the top Democrat on the House DOJ subcommittee. She held a sign up reading, "This is not normal," as Trump greeted people nearby. You could see it on the networks because she was right there on the aisle holding it up. Representative Lance Gooden from Texas, a Republican, grabbed the paper from Stansbury and threw it. Now, I didn't know who he was at first. I had to look him up. But he was standing across the aisle from her, along with other fellow Republicans, saw her holding this up, trying to make a spectacle of herself, trying to embarrass the president, as he literally was a foot or so away from her. As she's holding this silly little paper up, he takes it away from her. Just like other Democrats. Did you notice the signs? And if you weren't watching, some of the other Democrats had these tacky little signs about Elon and other messages about the president. They need to just get over it because Kamala Harris lost. Joe Biden is at the beach permanently. Donald Trump is our president. So sit down, shut up, and just get over it. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Furman Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Furman Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you could trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Furman Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Furman, Matthew Furman. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Furman Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Furman Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Furman Ford online at furmanford.com, furmanford.com. So before we move on from the disruptive behavior of the Democrats last night, particularly Representative Al Green from Texas, who was removed from the House chamber for protesting in the middle of President Trump's speech. Green and other Democrats protesting, of course, were drowned out at times by chants of USA, USA at the start of the president's remarks. You had the very enthusiastic and loud at times majority of the GOP House members there. On social media, several conservatives slammed Green and the Democrats, saying that their behavior was, quote, out of control. Former White House Press Secretary Ari Fleischer posted, "The Democrats are out of control. They're embarrassing themselves. Heckling the president, especially in a forum like this, is not how they will win." And he's right. They just haven't gotten the message yet, have they? I mean, and part of why Green said he was protesting was because Trump was talking about his mandate. Well, yes, he got a mandate. Green was particularly upset when at one point when Trump's talking about his win in November, he looks at the Democrat side of the room and talks about Kamala and kind of jokes about the fact that she lost. Well, she did. She lost badly. Senator Tom Tillis from North Carolina tweeted, "Trump won the election. Number 47. Al Green is a disgrace," he said. Turning Point, my colleague Charlie Kirk from Turning Point USA wrote on X, "Speaker Mike Johnson just ordered the Sergeant at Arms to forcibly remove Representative Al Green for breaking rules of decorum in the House chamber. Good for the Speaker. Al Green is a clown." And he did look like a clown waving that cane around again. I was waiting for a Secret Service agent to come body slam him to the floor and take the cane away from him. American Encore President Sean Noble stated on X, "Representative Al Green has been a gadfly his entire time in Congress. He purposely disrupted in order to get removed. Shameful conduct, but absolutely not surprising." Wonder why the people in that Texas district keep returning him to the U.S. Capitol. If you were living in Al Green's congressional district back home in Texas, and I get it, it obviously is a Democrat seat for him to keep getting reelected, but still, I don't care if you are a Democrat. Would you not be embarrassed if your member of Congress acted like he did? If your member of Congress literally interrupts a national speech like that, waving his cane at the President of the United States? Are you not embarrassed for him and for yourselves voting for a guy like that? Meghan McCain, the daughter of the late Senator John McCain, wrote on X, "I'm disgusted. This is disgusting behavior on the part of Democrats. Get a grip. You're in Congress." And that's my point. Hey, you are a member of the United States House of Representatives. Get over it. I mean, wow. Now, like always, if you look close enough and hard enough, you're going to find some who believe that the Democrat congressman was doing the right thing. Progressive writer, former Hillary Clinton advisor Charlotte Clymer tweeted, "Representative Al Green is a," I can't say the word, "hero." Wow. Dear White Staffers, a popular far-left social media account, posted on X, "If 77-year-old Al Green can disrupt and be removed, then every single other Democrat had a duty to do so as well. Keep them coming." Well, look, thankfully, you do have some Democrats in the U.S. House who do have a little bit of common sense, who knew that you don't interrupt the president in the middle of his speech. Speaker Mike Johnson, again, asked the Sergeant at Arms to escort Al Green out as he was being disruptive. And look, there was no sign that he was going to change. He had been standing up about the entire speech anyway, waving that silly cane of his. Green is, again, one of Trump's most vocal critics, and he's not going to stop. Not going to stop. He was far from the only one making a statement last night, as many of the Democrat women in the chamber wore pink Did you see that? Did you see those pink uniforms that Representative Melanie Stansbury she was wearing as she was holding that silly sign about this is not normal? Well, let me tell you what's not normal is that that pink suit that you had on looked like Pepto-Bismol. Wow. And again, these are people who are upset because the American people turned them out of office, and they can't figure out why. President Trump talked for more than an hour and 40 minutes, breaking the previous record set by President Bill Clinton's 2000 State of the Union address. It was a long speech, but it was a good speech. It didn't seem like it was almost 2 hours because it went by fairly quickly because you were literally enjoying what you were hearing. He talked for, again, an hour, 40 minutes. President Bill Clinton's 2000 State of the Union address ran for 1 hour and 28 minutes and 49 seconds. So he went by it pretty quickly, easily there. According to the American Presidency Project at the University of California, at Santa Barbara, they've tracked speech length since President Lyndon B. Johnson in 1964. Trump's speech is not technically a State of the Union, of course, since he only took office about 6 weeks ago, but his address is nonetheless the longest offered to a joint session of Congress by a president of the United States. Now, he's known to make long speeches. I mean, we saw him and we heard him at a number of campaign rallies over the past year, right? And we saw, we can remember some of those official State of the Union addresses that he came very close to breaking them then in 2019, according to this American Presidency Project. His 2019 address lasted 1 hour, 22 minutes, and 25 seconds, just shy of the hour 40 last night. That was the third longest spoken State of the Union speech in history. Trump's first State of the Union in 2018 lasted 80 minutes, and his final one in 2020 was around 78 minutes. His first address to a joint session of Congress was 2017, immediately upon taking office, which was 20 minutes shorter and took just over an hour. If you compare it to some of the other ones in history, Bill Clinton again held the title as the I guess he still does, since that wasn't technically a State of the Union. His 2000 was 1 hour, 28 minutes, 49 seconds. George W. Bush, Barack Obama kept their State of the Union addresses to about 50 minutes and 1 hour, respectively. In fact, Clinton and Trump hold the top 7 spots. There's top 7 spots for the longest State of the Union addresses. Clinton holds spots 1, 2, 5, and 7. Trump holds 3, 4, and 6. Clinton, again, the longest at 128.49. His next longest, 124.58. Trump in 2019 was 122.25. 2018, 120.32. Bill Clinton in 1999, 118.40. Trump again back in 2020, 118.04. Bill Clinton, 1998, 116.43. An hour speech is rather long. Joe Biden's 2023 got him on the list at 1 hour, 13 minutes. Lyndon Johnson's 1967 address was 1 hour, 11 minutes, and 16 seconds. And then Barack Obama in 2010, 1 hour, 9 minutes, and 20 seconds. The shortest, Richard Nixon. His 1972 speech is the shortest spoken State of the Union address on record with the American Presidency Project at 28 minutes, 55 seconds. Now, I said spoken because it's not always been the norm for the president to give the speech. In some of the early days, a president wrote his State of the Union out and just presented copies to members of Congress. Because you didn't have all the media then. I mean, he might be standing in a room speaking to Congress, but nobody else knew what he was saying. So they printed copies of it so that the media would have a copy of it, and so that people back home would be able to read about it in the newspaper, since they couldn't back then. That's the only way they could know what the president had said. Even in the early days, there wasn't even a radio. Certainly no TV. So what did you think about the president's speech last night? Those of you who saw it. I just realized I haven't even asked you. Text me. Email me, joey@joeyhudson.com. You can call the MyPillow message line. Leave me a message, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Let me know what you think about it. Do you think the president really scored some points with the American people last night? Do you agree with me that the Democrats just embarrassed themselves by sitting there on their hands throughout the evening? Email is joey@joeyhudson.com. Text me. Messages are welcome on the MyPillow message line. Always use promo code Joey when you go to mypillow.com, and you'll get the very best price available. Promo code Joey at mypillow.com. As part of his 1 hour, 40-minute speech last night, President Trump revealed that the top terrorist suspect behind the 2021 Abbey Gate attack in Afghanistan, that killed the 13 U.S. service members, that he has been apprehended.
In the Abbey Gate bombing during the disastrous and incompetent withdrawal from Afghanistan, not that they were withdrawing, it was the way they withdrew. Perhaps the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country.
If not the most embarrassing, certainly right up there at the top. The Biden administration's chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan led to the death of these 13 U.S. service members, 11 Marines, 1 Navy corpsman, 1 sailor, who had been left to defend the Kabul airport, while hundreds of Americans, tens of thousands of Afghan allies were left in the country under Taliban rule. At least 170 Afghan civilians were injured in the attack. The conservative critics like Senator Ted Cruz of Texas said that the withdrawal paved the way for adversaries such as Russia to invade Ukraine, which is probably the truth. Probably wouldn't be having this war between Ukraine and Russia had that not have happened. The Taliban claimed control of Afghanistan immediately following the withdrawal. Trump said during his speech, "I spoke to many of the parents and loved ones, and they're all in our hearts tonight. I spoke to them on the phone. We had a big call, every one of them," he said, and he talked about how they were happy, or as happy as you can be under those circumstances, he said. Their child, brother, sister, son, daughter, who was killed for no reason whatsoever, but that they're happy that the American people have not forgotten them. The families who lost loved ones during this botched withdrawal have previously and repeatedly slammed former President Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris over their deaths, including launching a scathing defense attack against Harris when she was running for president after the anniversary of the withdrawal in 2024. Parents and other loved ones claim that the administration killed my son, and that they have not seen any support from the Biden administration since then. And it's true. I mean, they basically got these families' loved ones killed. Didn't have to happen. Did not have to happen the way it did. My favorite moments in these speeches, though, and boy, Trump is a master at them, is some of the personal stories that are weaved in and out of the speech as he was making certain points last night. And there were several of these. He made a high school senior's dream come true during the speech. He focused on topics across the country that have impacted Americans personally. He was talking about a young man named Jason Hartley, whose dream is to carry on the family legacy of service by joining the U.S. military. Now, this Hartley's father, his grandfather, and his great-grandfather all served the country in the military. His father, who died in August of 2018, also worked as a Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputy. His dream was to be accepted to the U.S. Military Academy at West Point, and as a high school senior, Hartley had already applied for admittance to this very prestigious school. Trump bragged on Hartley during the speech, mentioning his accolades as a 6-letter varsity athlete, as a brilliant student. He has a 4.46 grade point average. Both, of course, met with lots of applause from the chamber. And see, this is another example This young man deserved the applause. Did the Democrats acknowledge him? They did not. This is another opportunity for them to show that they're somewhat normal, and they sat there. They did not applaud this young man simply because the president was applauding him. Trump's praise for the teenage this teenager led to a very exciting announcement where he let Hartley know that his dream of attending West Point would be coming true. Trump said, that's a hard one to get into, and it is. He said, but I'm pleased to inform you that your application has been accepted. Well, of course it's going to be accepted when the commander-in-chief makes a phone call and says, I want this young man to go to the academy. Wow. And you could just, the guy, he didn't know what to do. I mean, he just stood there smiling. And during this touching moment, as the U.S. House and U.S. Senate is applauding Hartley, DJ Daniel, a 13-year-old cancer survivor, an aspiring police officer who Trump had already been talking about earlier, walked over. You could see him walk over behind Hartley, and they sort of did a fist pump. So earlier in the speech, Trump had recognized DJ Daniel. He's a young man. He is wearing a police uniform. He's 13 years old. At the age of 8, he was diagnosed with terminal cancer. Not supposed to have been there last night. Here's the president as he recognizes DJ Daniel.
In 2018, DJ was diagnosed with brain cancer. The doctors gave him 5 months at most to live. That was more than 6 years ago. Since that time, DJ and his dad have been on a quest to make his dream come true, and DJ has been sworn in as an honorary law enforcement officer, actually a number of times. The police love him, the police departments love him. And tonight, DJ, we're going to do you the biggest honor of them all. I am asking our new Secret Service Director, Sean Curran, to officially make you an agent of the United States Secret Service. Thank you, DJ.
Wow. I mean, that was just another one of those special moments. And if you could have just seen this young man just smiling from ear to ear. Just a neat young guy who wants to be a police officer, wants to serve his community, and, again, has beaten all odds so far. Our prayer should be for DJ that he remains cancer-free and that he's able to really put on a uniform someday. He was seated in the House gallery, of course, with his father, who at one point lifted him above his head so that everyone could see him. And as chants of DJ erupted in the House chamber. And again, Democrats sat there, never acknowledged this young man. This is another example where they could have rallied around it and have done the right thing, but they sat there as the rest of the room is chanting DJ. Director Curran handed Daniel a badge, making him an honorary member of the Secret Service. Daniel proudly waved the new badge around with a stunned look on his face. I wish you could have seen his face when the president announced, I'm going to make you a I'm going to make you deputize you as a Secret Service agent. His eyes just got real big when he realized what that meant. After this, of course, Trump pivoted to discuss Secretary of Health and Human Services Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s mission to get toxins out of the environment, poisons out of our food supply to keep our children healthy so that there are not other DJ Daniels out there getting cancer at such a young age. It was a great speech. A great speech. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Furman Ford text line 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com, and I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at mypillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.